Yeah, not a boss that gets off on trickery, not a boss that gets off on deceit, not a boss that puts you in contracts and situations that you can't get out of, not a boss that constantly needs new sacrifices, constantly needs you to do things that are so against your every fiber, constantly, I mean, it's in a state of misery, in a state of hate, in a state of rage, in a state of, nah. I work for a boss that's all about love. Eating good, living good with good people, honest people. My tribe, you can leave your door open around my tribe. You can invite them into your home and nothing's going to get taken. Nothing's going to be tampered with my tribe, the tribe that I roll with. Because we operate on godly standards, karmic law and spiritual law. We're trustworthy. We operate with honor and dignity. And it's very reassuring. And it's very like peaceful. Like you can go to bed with a clear conscience every night. We're not angry. We don't have hatred. We are full of love. Because that's the frequency that we operate on. And so what is the saying? It says, people perish from a lack of what? People perish from a lack of knowledge. People perish from a lack of knowledge. What does that mean? Well, if you were tapped into your intuition, let's say you had like psychic abilities or whatever, you were a prophet or you had prophetic things, and the shaitan came to you and made an offer, and you thought through it, and you're like, man, I don't want to be full of rage every day. Like, I don't care how much money I have. If I'm uncomfortable in the skin that I'm in, what's the point? I don't care how much money, or power or social status I get. If I can't sleep at night, if I don't feel like decent in my heart and in my soul, then what's the point? And then you're able to like tap in and see even further, and it's like, man, I get screwed in the end in the worst way. I lost my soul, I lost my integrity, I lost my honor, I lost my self-respect. I can't even look myself in the mirror anymore. People don't trust me. My whole life is a lie and an illusion. I can't be honest. Every single time I go out, I have to wear a mask. I can't keep it real. This is what I signed up for. This is hell. This is miserable. And I'm not even allowed to talk about it. That's the worst part. I can't tell anybody how I really feel about this situation that I'm in. And who's to blame but myself? Why did I do this? Why did I make this decision? But that's adulting. You're not mad at the person who's like happy-go-lucky because they made the right decision. Like, you made the decision and you reap the consequences of the decision that you make. And I know that I'm like not talking crazy right now. Like, this is very level-headed, I feel like, in my opinion, like, this is very a level-headed, like, rationale. Like, this is a very, like, common sense kind of thing going on. And all I'm here to say is, like, I could talk all day. I could pick apart Satanists and, these dark beings and talk bad about them all day, but it's like, what's the point? They're suffering enough, as far as the decisions that they made. It's like, they get mad at me if I remind them. Like, they get really angry about it when I remind them that they were really stupid to sell their souls. But, like, they operate on deceit. And so everybody around them is deceitful. They're lying to themselves. Everything around them is a lie. So when they hear me and they hear the truth, it angers them because they can't deal with the truth. They can't deal with the reality of their decisions. But that's really not my burden to bear, right? Like, why am I angry about the decisions that you made for your life? Right? We all got a life. We all got choices. We all can adhere to various belief systems. Why am I taking that on to be enraged by the decisions that you made for your life? I made decisions for my life that would bring me peace, that would give me self-respect, that would give me high self-esteem. Like, don't be confused to think that my self-esteem is based off of my body and my figure, the way that I look and all of those things. Yeah, it's cool, whatever. My self-esteem is based off the fact that I operate in an integral fashion. My self-esteem is based off of my character. Period. Like, that's like, I feel really good about myself because I do good things. I'm good to people. I'm honest. Like, I operate in a way that if I wasn't me, like, if I was somebody else, and I looked at me, I would have a tremendous respect for myself. And that's where my self-esteem comes from. Because I feel good about myself because of the decisions that I make. I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. I'm not setting anybody up. I'm not lying on anybody's character. I'm not doing things to make myself feel bad about myself. I'm doing me. And so, truth be told, with DC, it's like, look, I'm not going to bitch and complain about DC because bottom line is I made the decision to move to DC. And DC has been great to me. Right? I love this town for a few reasons because it's taught me so much. Look at the game that I got being in, just 2 miles from the White House. Look how much I learned in a short period of time that will take me very far in life. Look at the perspective. Look at the outlook that I've gained. Look at the, wisdom that I've gained from this town. So what would I say I hate DC for? It was a very necessary part of my journey. It was a very necessary component to my outlook of life. I will never forget these times. Never, never, never. The wisdom that I've accrued. And being in a sea of vultures and sharks and very wicked people has allowed me to rely so much on my Creator. And that's what the whole point of it was. For me, maybe I would have never built up this inside of me because really I'm a Rastafari hippie. I like to be on the beach. I like to be on the beach with cool people playing music, drumming, and throwing veggies on the grill and eating fruit. That is what makes me happy, and soaking up the sun and getting in water and chilling with babies. Like, that's what I love to do. And so to take me into an atmosphere that doesn't really resonate with me, who I am organically, who I am, like, organically, a very more like lackadaisical person in a certain sense, not taking things too seriously in a certain sense, to take me and put me in an atmosphere where people take things way too seriously, operate in such an unorganic fashion, and put me there, me, with my free-spirited self, with my happy-go-lucky, free-spirited, peace, love, and happiness kind of self, to put me in an atmosphere that is so against like what I stand for. What's to come of that? What would come of that? Well, it was likely you're going to be miserable because you're not in an atmosphere that you resonate with. Likely you're going to feel like very uncomfortable, right? You're going to feel very miserable. For me, I had to work my magic. I had to become an alchemist and say, oh, I got work here to do on this planet. Yes, I would love to be on the beach all day and chilling in nature all day and just loving life and soaking up the sun all day and kissing the babies and not have to deal with these, very wicked people, of course. But why am I here? Oh, I got work to do. I got to step up to my role. I needed the awareness because I'm very content in my own bubble. I'm very content in my own sunshine world where everything is good, chilling at peace. Why? Why am I encountering these people? Why? Because I believe in this life as everything is like choose your own adventure, like those choose your own adventure books. Like, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why. I was too naive. I didn't realize that this was the way that things worked, right? And so it was very necessary for my own wisdom. But at the same time, I can't be miserable because my external environment doesn't dictate my internal condition. It's like all the hate in the world is not going to make me a hater. All the rage in the world is not going to make me full of rage. All the injustice in the world is not going to make me operate in an unfair manner. You're not going to change the core of a person of who I am based off of the way that you treat me. If I came in the game as a lover, I'm going to leave the game as a lover. If I came in the game as a believer, I'm going to leave the game as a believer. if I came in the game with integrity, I'm going to leave with integrity. Because these are the things that give me self-respect, and these are the reasons why I don't respect you. I'll close with this. I was working at Howard Theater, and I met a couple managers. And both of the managers actually were from New York. They were so on point, so on point. They operated in a fair fashion. They were excellent communicators. They weren't stealing from the company. They were doing their best to bring out the best in us. Like they were like, and that's another thing. Like I have a hard time like leveling with people who don't operate in like a way that they want a level-headed conversation. Like we can't talk. If all you want to do is fight, then we can't talk. Right? Like if your whole agenda is to like be destructive and all you want to do is create chaos, there's no discussion to be had. Because I can present to you all the information in the world. I can be as level-headed and sensible about this conversation. But you're dismissive. No, all I want to do is be angry, and all I want is war, and all I want is destruction. But I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like I'm telling you, like you're screwing yourself. Like nothing is going to happen to me. I'm way too protected spiritually, and I'm way too guided by my Creator. I'm always going to have peace. I'm always going to have love. I'm always going to do me. I'm always going to shine. Like there's nothing that you can do to stop me from my destiny. You're making it literally worse for yourself because I'm directly chosen from God, and He's not cool with you fucking with His child. Like I'm telling you, like very much like don't do it. And I'm not saying it for me. I'm saying it for you. No, I want to fight. We're not going to stop. Okay, don't stop. Screw yourself. Be my guest. But I promise you're not going to get your way. You're just going to screw yourself. But you want to be angry. You don't have the emotional maturity to even understand how to coach yourself out of that rage. Like you're not even equipped to know how to switch gears and change your feelings. You can't do that. You're incapable of that. So you be stuck on that rage frequency. But I know that as a person who's done my research, guess what kills people the most? Guess what cancer is? Cancer is rage. So maybe you want to die. You likely want to die because you're so unsatisfied and unhappy with the life that you lead. So continue to be angry, continue to rage. But yeah, so these managers, they were just so fair. They were very level-headed. They were problem solvers. And that's how you know somebody, that's how you can kind of tell somebody. Like, when somebody's coming in the game and they're like problem solvers. Like, okay, what's the fire? Okay, let's think about this. Let's strategize. Let's put the fire out. Let's problem solve. Let's, make sure that everybody is here for the right reasons and operate on a level of cohesion and peace. That's best for the company. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what they were. And they were just so professional. They were just so awesome. And I asked one of them, one's name was Sunny, one's name was Mike. They worked for a company called Blue Note. I think it was at the time, I think they're still owned by the Ben Susans. Sion Ben Susan was one of the owners. And they were in charge of Howard Theater, the Ben Susans. And the Ben Susans were very wise to bring Sunny and Mike on board for the Howard Theater, but probably made like not such a good decision and a couple of the other managers that they brought into the picture. And so it was just wonderful having a stark contrast of what professionalism looks like versus what a lack of professionalism looks like, versus what a lack of integrity looks like what decency looks like versus what like lack of decency looks like. And Mike and Sunny, they were awesome. And so they came in, they were solution-oriented, things were running smoothly, they got the job done. And I noticed, like, Mike, every single Friday, he would come, with his bag, and he's like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. I'm like, where are you going? I'm heading to New York. Every Friday, he would take the fast train. I don't know if it was like a Acela, but he would take the train from D.C. to New York every single Friday. And I'm like, you don't want to hang out? Like, you don't want to do the weekend shows? Nope. No, I don't. You don't want to hang out and enjoy DC? Nope. No, I don't. He's like, I hate this town. I hate this town. And I started to figure out why Sunny and Mike hated DC so much, because when you operate like a boss, you don't have to do things that people who don't have the skills have to do. So when you have a level of professionalism and You know that like you're an open book. You know that what you're doing is right. You know that you have the best interest for the company at hand. You have the best interest for the employees at hand. You don't have to do things like sneak and like steal and like you don't have to do things that a lot of these people in DC have to do. They have to operate like within these like secret societies, which are like socialist organizations, where it's like a lot of very mediocre people who have very like limited power individually, and are quite intellectually lazy, and you know they have to do all of these things. They have to click up. They have to click up because a bunch of them equal one of Mike, right? Like 10 of them equal one Mike, or like 10 of them equal one Sonny. And so they have to click up. They have to share a brain. They have to share a mind because they can't make it on their own. And when you operate like a boss, like a true boss, and you feel good about yourself because you know, I am doing the best that I can. I am treating people fairly. I'm operating in a sense of integrity. Like that level of self-confidence, they don't like because they don't have it, because they don't do those things to exude that level of self-confidence. Because deep down in their subconscious, they're like, shit, any day I might get caught. Any day I might get found out to be the weakling that I am. Any day they might be, you know, understanding that I'm so like weak. I'm not that smart. Like I have to do these things. I have to do like very wicked things just to be able to like have some money, just to be able to keep my position because I'm so inadequate. So that subconscious talk is really what is allowing them to like, is really what contributes to their lack of self-esteem. The reason why they're not really that bold and fearless. And they're not very courageous because in the back of their mind, they know that they're really not that great. And that's DC. Why do I say that that's DC? Well, look at America. If this is where the policymakers live and this is where the leadership is housed, we got the president here, the VP here, and then we look at America and we're like, there's a lot of shit that's like not right and hasn't been right for a very, very long time. Who's responsible? Who's responsible for these policies? Who's responsible for this shitty leadership? Who's responsible for the fact that women are still getting paid less than men? Who's responsible for the isms, for the schisms? Who's responsible for this culture that doesn't serve people? Who's responsible for the racial discrepancies, for the socioeconomic ladder? Who's responsible for the prison industrial complex? Who's responsible for the fact we don't even have clean water? Who's responsible for the destruction of our planet? Who's responsible? All within a 16-mile radius. People who have fucked you and don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your kids. They don't give a fuck about what you're here to be. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about you. They are trained that way. Them caring is seen as weakness. Compassion is seen as weakness to them. And they don't ask questions. They just take orders and they do as they're told, like military style. Like nobody's like, what did those innocent kids in Palestine that were dropping bombs on, like, what did they do to us? Like, what did they do to us? Nobody's asking those questions. But again, it's not about them. It's about you. If you witness a culture and a society that has not resolved problems and you are still patronizing this system that fucked you over, who is responsible? You are still relying on people who do not have your best interest at hand. At some point, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, why am I still putting my faith in these leaders who do nothing but fuck us over, who don't operate with honor, who don't operate with integrity, who don't keep their word, who don't care about us? And so they're literally banking on you. They're literally banking on you to not ask the right questions, to not rise up to your power, to not put your thinking cap on. That's the only way that they'll exist. And so what happened with Mike and Sonny? So Mike and Sonny were offered lots more money to stay in DC and to manage the Howard Theater, and they both respectfully declined. They left immediately after their project was over. As soon as they were done with what they said that they were going to do for the Howard, they left. And I don't know if they've ever come back. And it's like, that's a lesson. Like, I don't care how much you pay me. You know, the idea of, like, even if I was offered a job on a management level at a restaurant, like, I'm still spending 60, 70 hours a week at a restaurant. And I think that we, as the people, can learn from the inorganics, as Ralph Smart puts it. They're in situations that they don't want to be in. They hate their lives. They hate the fact that they have to do this stuff. But they do it because they're bound to it. They're bound to this life that they signed up for. I think that we could take a lesson or two from that. They're getting paid to do these things. It's not just they're doing it just because they're full of hatred. Yes, they're full of hatred. They're recruited because they're full of hatred. They're recruited because they operate on a certain frequency where they don't ask questions and they're willing to do horrible things to people without asking questions. That's why they're down. You know, that's why they're recruited. They're recruited because they lack empathy and they lack compassion. They're diluted to feel like that makes them powerful, which it doesn't. It makes them very weak. Because the fact is, you're thirsty for love. Your mate doesn't love you. Your husband doesn't love you. Your wife doesn't love you. You'll never know what that feels like, and it feels so good. It feels so good to be loved. Number one, loved by your creator. There's no kind of love that can trump the love of your creator. When I tell you life is worth living because of your love that you get from the source. When your creator is pleased with you, how good that makes you feel. And then, of course, that trickles down into self-love. And it's like you just love yourself. Like you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can just celebrate yourself. And it's just beautiful. It's just wonderful. It's just awesome, awesome, awesome. And then because you're on a love frequency, you're attracting people who are a love frequency. You go out in the street and you just get love, like me. People love me. They show me love. They give me love. And it feels great to be loved. And I couldn't think of a world where I go out and I couldn't think of a world where I don't get any love. You know, I mean, if things were different, I'd almost feel bad for you. I mean, really, if things were different, you know, you didn't make the moves that you made, I would almost feel bad for you. Because imagine the despair and the lack of just hope and optimism and just operating on that frequency. But that's what you signed up for. You know, you signed up for that. So, you know, your mate doesn't love you. You know, you're not loved. You know, your mate doesn't. It's all about the money. But you traded all these good feelings for that, for material comforts and the power and the money. You signed up for that. So, but what I'm saying is, with the people who didn't sign up for that, who aren't, you know, in contracts with the devil or whatever, learn from that. Say, look, is the job that I signed up for, is it worth it if I hate it? If now I'm spending 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week hating my life, is it worth it? And especially the way that Babylon is about to fall. You know, America's a corporation. This whole thing that as we know it is about to go down. What role are you playing in keeping a system up that doesn't serve you? Just start asking those types of questions. All right. Peace. This is part 2. I'll post part 1 as well. Peace.